Hello everyone, welcome back to Dark Romance. Tonight we dive into a brand new original story, His to Destroy. A twisted love story of power, obsession, pain, and passion. 30 intense chapters. This isn't your typical romance. It's possessive, it's dominant, it's dangerous. Let the darkness begin.
The house groaned like it was in pain. Floorboards creaked beneath my boots as I stepped into the entryway, dust dancing in the shafts of dying light that bled through broken stained glass windows. Cold air wrapped around my throat like fingers, whispering secrets the walls had buried long before I was born. My mother had always told me to stay away from this place. Now she was dead, and the house was mine. I dropped the keys onto the wooden table by the door, the sound far too loud in the silence. The entire estate felt like a mausoleum, 3 stories of rotting wood and crumbling memories. My inheritance, my prison. I didn't come here to find peace. I came because I had nowhere else to go. Upstairs, the hallway stretched like a throat, dark and endless. Her room waited at the end, untouched for 7 years. My hand trembled as I opened the door. Everything was exactly the same. The dusty vanity, the half-burnt candle by the mirror, the lipstick stain on her wine glass, never wiped away. And the journal. It sat in the center of the bed, exactly where I'd left it the day I ran from this place at 17. I hadn't expected to find it here. Hadn't expected anything, really. But as I picked it up, something shifted beneath the pillow. A piece of parchment. Not old, not yellowed or fragile. Crisp, folded once. My name was written on the front in careful, sharp handwriting. Aurelia. I unfolded it with shaking fingers. I never stopped watching you. And now, you're home again. You still wear black when you write. You still drink tea you never finish. You still sleep curled on your right side, mouth slightly open. You're so beautiful when you don't know you're being seen. Do you remember the red ribbon you lost when you were 15? I kept it. You're mine now, little one. And this time, I won't stay hidden. I dropped the paper, my heartbeat stuttered, then slammed against my ribs like a warning bell. No one had been in this house for years. No one but... No, that was impossible. I backed away from the bed, scanning the corners of the room like they might whisper the truth. But the air was still. My fingers brushed against the ribbon of my old choker, a black velvet strip I wore like a scar. Suddenly, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt full, watching, waiting, and something inside me, something I hadn't felt in years, woke up and whispered, "He's real. He's still here." She came back. After all this time, after all the nights I stood beneath her window in the city, watching her sleep with her hand curled under her cheek like a child. She returned to the house she swore she'd never step foot in again. I should have waited longer before making contact, but I couldn't. I never was a patient man. Aurelia Dane, 24. Still writes longhand. Still keeps her hair in that tight, cruel bun like she's punishing herself. Still wears that little black velvet ribbon around her neck, the one I nearly stole 10 years ago when she dropped it in the rose garden. She doesn't know it yet, but she came back to me. The camera in the upstairs hallway clicked silently as she stepped into her mother's room, the hem of her coat brushing the floor. The way she moved, slow, uncertain, haunted, it made my blood burn. She's already scared. Good. I want her afraid, not of me, not yet, but of the feeling building under her skin. The one she won't be able to name. Not until it's too late. She thinks she's alone in that house. She isn't. There's a space between the walls in the eastern wing, just wide enough for a man like me to stand and breathe and listen. I carved it out 7 years ago. A sanctuary. A cage. That's where I left the letter, and I watched her read it. Her lips parted, her throat pulsed, her eyes scanned each line like they might bleed. She'll deny the fear at first. She always does. But soon she'll wonder about every sound, every shadow. She'll feel the weight of me, even when I'm not there, because I am always there. She just doesn't know how close I am. Not yet. But she will. I didn't sleep. I lay in my childhood bedroom, the ceiling cracked like veins above me, listening to every creak of the old house, every whisper of wind, every silence that stretched too long. The letter still sat on the floor where I'd dropped it. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. I couldn't even touch it again. Not yet. By morning, my tea was cold and untouched. My journal lay open on the desk, but the pen in my hand hadn't moved in hours. My thoughts were elsewhere, behind the walls, in the shadows, somewhere I couldn't reach but could feel. The feeling of being watched hadn't gone away. If anything, it had sharpened. At noon, I found the second letter. It wasn't on my pillow this time. It was in the attic. I don't know what compelled me to go up there. Something pulled at me, like invisible strings. The attic door stuck in its swollen frame, groaning like a dying thing when I forced it open. Dust bloomed like smoke. The air was thick and choking, but I stepped in. Boxes, covered furniture, a cracked mirror leaning against the wall, and in front of it laid, like an offering, another folded piece of parchment, my name written again. The same sharp, deliberate ink. This one said, "Do you know what I keep here, Aurelia? Pieces of you. Your broken fountain pen, a glove you lost in winter, a button from your coat, your childhood drawing with the house and the red sky. I've saved them all. They remind me who you are. Who you were before the world tried to dim you. I collect you, like art, because you were made to be mine, and soon I'll stop hiding what I already own." My breath caught, my legs trembled. I backed away from the mirror slowly, afraid to see something, someone, standing behind me. But there was nothing except the sound of footsteps on the floorboards below. I froze. They were slow, measured, as if whoever was down there knew I could hear them, as if they wanted me to. Then silence. I ran, tripped down the stairs, threw open every door, checked every room. No one. But the front door was unlocked. I always lock the door. I stared at it for a long time, my hand still shaking around the letter. He'd been here, inside the house. He'd touched my things. He was inside the attic. He's still watching. And maybe the worst part wasn't the fear. Maybe it was the voice in my head that whispered, "He's not going to stop." And deep down, I didn't want him to. She smelled like fear, not the kind that screams. No, Aurelia's fear is quiet. It clings to her skin like perfume, sweet and sharp, like she wants to be scared, like she craves it. I stood inches from her while she slept. She didn't know I'd been in her room 100 times before this, watching her chest rise and fall, memorizing the little gasp she makes when her dream turns dark, fixing the blanket when it slipped too far down her shoulder. I had rules once, lines I wouldn't cross, but rules don't apply to her, not when she's mine. Last night I stood in the hallway just outside her door. I wanted to wait, but she left the letter in the attic, didn't burn it, didn't lock her door. She was inviting me in. I stepped closer. Her journal was open on her desk. Someone is in this house. I can feel him. I should leave, but I won't. She won't leave. She wants answers. She wants me. I touched the velvet ribbon lying beside her pillow. Still warm. Still hers. She used to wear it every day. Now, she sleeps with it beside her like its protection. Foolish girl. I picked it up, ran it between my fingers, then pressed it to her neck, lightly. Just enough for her to shift in her sleep, for her lips to part and release a soft sound that wasn't quite a moan. Then I let it fall back where it was. I didn't take it. Not yet. Tonight was just a warning, a taste. She doesn't know how many times I've touched her, gently, without permission. When she dropped her glove in the snow at 16, when I pressed a hand to her back at the bookstore last year, just to see if she'd feel it. She did. She always feels me. Aurelia thinks she's being haunted. She is. But not by a ghost. By a man with blood on his hands and her name carved into his mind. Soon I'll stop leaving letters. Soon I'll leave marks. I saw him. Not clearly. Not enough to scream, but enough to know he's real. It happened in the hallway mirror, just a flicker, a shadow behind me, and when I turned around, the hallway was empty, but the mirror was still humming with presence, like it had swallowed something that didn't belong. I locked all the doors, every window, but he was already inside. I can feel it in the air. It's heavier, thicker, like it belongs to him now. Then I saw it, on the nightstand, a small, folded note I hadn't left. No name, no signature. Just a message in that same sharp handwriting. You saw me. I wanted you to. Do you want me to come back? All you have to do is leave the window open. My hands trembled as I picked it up, my mouth dry, my heart screaming no. But my body whispered yes. She left it open. Her bedroom window. Just a few inches. An invitation, a dare. Proof that fear wasn't the only thing blooming in her chest. I watched her from across the room, hidden in the dark. She couldn't see me. Not yet. But she looked for me. She stared into the night, eyes wide, breath unsteady. She's starting to understand. I am not going away. And she doesn't want me to. Not really. I found the mark on my neck this morning. Not a bruise, not a cut, a single fingerprint, barely visible, like something brushed against me too softly to leave anything more. But I know what it is. It's a warning, or a promise. He was here again. He touched me, and I didn't wake up. Or maybe I did. And I let him. I started writing about him, not in fear, but in fascination. There's something about being wanted so completely, so violently. It's madness, and I can't stop. She hears me. The creaks beneath her bed. The breath in the hallway. She pretends to be scared, but she's listening for it. Tonight, I left a rose on her pillow. Black, artificial, dipped in ash, a symbol of possession. She pressed it to her lips. She's falling into the spiral I built just for her, and when she breaks, she'll belong to me completely. Last night I dreamed he was in my bed, his hand on my throat, his mouth against my ear, breathing things I wasn't supposed to like, but I did. I woke up gasping, but the air still smelled like him, smoke and rain and something darker. And on my pillow, a lock of my own hair. I didn't cut it. I left her one more message. This time, I didn't type it. I wrote it in red ink, my own handwriting, scarred and slanted. Personal. I think about you when I kill. I wonder what sound you'd make if I hurt you. Not to destroy you. No, I'd never do that. I want to ruin everything around you, until I'm all you have left. The letter ends with a fingerprint, not hers. Mine. Soon she'll stop wondering if she wants me. She'll start wondering why it took so long. I locked the basement door before bed. I know I did. But this morning, it was open. Just slightly. Enough to make my stomach turn and the cold rush up my spine. There's nothing in that basement but dust and ruin. At least, there wasn't. I found something new at the bottom of the stairs. A candle, black wax, still warm, burnt all the way down to the wick. Someone had been down there last night, and it wasn't me. She saw me tonight. Really saw me. No tricks, no shadows, no mirrors. I stepped into the light of her bedroom, just enough for her breath to catch. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She looked at me, eyes wide, lips parted, body frozen, like she didn't know whether to beg for mercy or more. And then I was gone, a whisper in the dark. But the image of her, trembling and desperate and silent, that's mine now. My journal has new pages. I didn't write them, but they're in my handwriting, perfectly mimicked, eerie in their precision. He was here again. I felt his breath on my skin. I wanted to scream, but my mouth wouldn't open. I didn't want him to stop. The words make me sick. They also make me ache, because I don't know if I dreamed it, or if it's true. A test. I left a drop of blood on the third stair. Just one, from a cut on my hand. I wanted to see what she'd do. She didn't run. She stared at it for 5 minutes, then touched it with her fingers, lightly, as if tasting it through her skin. She wiped it away. She didn't clean the rest of the stair. Aurelia is learning. Fear is a myth she's outgrowing. Now she wants answers. Soon, she'll want me. I left the window open again. Not by accident this time. I left a candle lit too. I told myself it was for comfort, but maybe it was a signal. I wanted him to come. And he did. I woke up with the sheets pulled down, my shirt twisted around my waist and bruises on my thighs that hadn't been there the night before. But no pain. Only heat, no fear, only shame, and something else. Need. It was laid out on the foot of my bed. Midnight black. Velvet. Slit high up the thigh. I never bought it. I never would. But I put it on. It fit perfectly, like he knew my body better than I did. I looked in the mirror. It wasn't me. It was the version of me he wanted to see. And when I walked into the candle-lit hallway that night, I felt like his. I've waited, watched, tested her patience, her instincts, her fear. But tonight, I let the sound slip past my lips. Her name. Aurelia. She froze. And I saw it. That soft collapse in her chest, that silent surrender, that raw, unfiltered ache in her pupils. Her name didn't scare her. It undressed her. She knows I'm close. She's starting to want me closer. It's not a bruise. It's a claim. I found it on the back of my neck this morning. Perfectly outlined teeth just beneath the skin. I tried to cover it, but it burned under my scarf. I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't when I brushed my fingers over it. I got wet. This is wrong, but I'm past the point of caring what's right. She found it. The red silk rope in the drawer beside her bed. She thought it would scare her. Instead, she touched it. Again. And again. She didn't throw it away. She didn't question why it was there. Because somewhere deep inside her, Aurelia knows what it's for, not to hurt her, to hold her still, to keep her safe. While I break her open, it wasn't a nightmare. It wasn't innocent either. I dreamt about his mouth. Hot, possessive, drenched in sin, not kissing, devouring. I woke up with my hands between my thighs, panting like I'd run a mile, sweaty, desperate, ashamed. And then I looked at the mirror across from my bed and saw a smudge, a fingerprint. He watched me. He saw everything, and I wanted him to see more. It was almost 3 a.m. The house was silent, except for him. The slow turn of the doorknob, the sound of boots on wood. My breath caught before I even saw him. He didn't speak, didn't ask, didn't need to. I was already sitting up, covers clenched around my chest like a fool, like they could protect me from the man standing at the foot of my bed with shadows on his face and sin in his hands. "Kai," I whispered. He tilted his head slightly, like a predator surveying something soft, breakable. "Say it again," he said, his voice lower than I'd ever heard. "Kai." And something inside him cracked wide open. He crossed the room in 3 slow, devastating steps. His gloved hand reached for my jaw. Not rough, not gentle, intentional. "You've been dreaming about me." It wasn't a question. I didn't answer. He slipped the glove off. His fingertips touched my cheek, then my lips. And when I trembled, he smiled, not with kindness, but with victory. "You moan my name in your sleep," he said, bending lower, his lips grazing the shell of my ear. "Do you want me to make it real, little rabbit?" I should have screamed. I should have told him to leave. Instead, I exhaled and let the sheet fall. His fingers brushed down my collarbone, pausing where my heartbeat pounded too loud. "Scared," he whispered. "Yes, of him, of myself, of how badly I wanted him to never stop." But I didn't speak, and that silence gave him permission. He climbed into my bed like he owned it, like he'd always belonged there. The mattress dipped under his weight, the air thickening with need and something darker, like control, laced with obsession. "Kai," I breathed, trying to remember who I was before this moment. "You're mine now," he said, slipping his hand beneath the sheet. "You always were." My legs parted without thought, without command. And when his palms slid between them, every warning inside me shattered into whimpers. He didn't move quickly. He didn't need to. Every touch was slow, possessive, not asking, claiming. He read my body like a weapon he'd spent years mastering, one he built for himself. "You want to know how monsters show love?" he whispered into my neck. I nodded. "Barely. They ruin you, so no one else ever gets a chance." And just like that, I gave him all of me. She ran. Not far, just to the edge of the hallway. But enough to remind me. Aurelia still believed she had freedom. I cornered her in shadows, one palm flat against the wall beside her head, the other gripping her jaw, forcing her to look at me. "Run again," I warned, voice low, guttural. "I'll make sure you crawl back." Her breath hitched, tears welled, but not from fear, from confusion, from the storm building inside her that she didn't understand yet. "Let me go," she whispered weakly. "I could." My thumb dragged down her bottom lip. "But you don't want that." She didn't deny it. She couldn't. I grabbed her wrist and spun her around, pressing her against the cold wall. Her cheek met the surface, her breath shaky. "This," I growled, tugging down the thin fabric covering her hips, "is punishment." But her gasp, the way her thighs pressed together, told me everything. She wanted it rough. She needed the chaos, and I would give it to her. With one hand pinning her wrist, the other left prints down her spine, bruises that spelled my name without a word. "You think I'm hurting you?" I whispered into her ear. She nodded, trembled. No, little dove. This is how I teach you to stay. And when she cried out, it wasn't from pain. It was surrender. I hated the silence after he touched me. It was louder than his threats, worse than his hands, more violent than any punishment. I sat on the edge of the bed, raw and shaking, my skin marked by him, my breath still uneven, and yet I didn't want to leave. What was wrong with me? The lock clicked behind me. He was back. Kai stepped in slowly, carrying a glass of water. Not a word, just placed it on the table and stared at me like I was some wounded animal too stubborn to die. "I don't need your help," I murmured. "No," he replied coolly. "You need the truth." He moved closer. I braced, but he didn't touch me this time. Instead, he knelt before me, his eyes level with mine. "My father used to lock me in the basement when I disobeyed," he said, voice flat. "No light, no food, just rats and the sound of my own screams." I didn't breathe. I broke out when I was 12, and the first thing I did was make sure he never touched anyone again. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you look at me like I was born a monster." He leaned in. "I wasn't. I was made, just like you're being remade now." Tears burned at my lashes. "Stop trying to fix me." "I'm not fixing you," he said softly. "I'm breaking what broke you." And somehow, that sounded like the most dangerous kind of love. I gave her 3 rules. Don't lie to me, don't run, and don't love me. She's already broken 2. Aurelia doesn't understand the fire she plays with. The moment she looked at me like I was more than her captor, I knew we were past the point of no return. She wants answers, truths I've buried deeper than the bodies I left behind. Tonight, I'll give her a taste. She sat curled in the corner of my room, arms wrapped around her knees, eyes full of the storm I created. "You said you would let me go." "I said I would make you want to stay." I dropped the folder onto the table. Her name was on the front. Inside, photos, reports, a life she didn't know was being watched. She flipped through them with shaking hands. "My family." "They sold you long before I touched you." She went still. I knelt beside her, letting my hand trace her jaw, slow and possessive. "I'm not your villain, Aurelia. I'm your mirror. You just don't like what you see. You're a monster." "Then stop falling for me." I kissed her, rough, brutal, tender. She didn't push me away. And in that moment, I knew she would break the 3rd rule too. He left me alone, with the truth. The folder he gave me sits like a bomb beside the bed. My past, my family, every lie I believed, shattered by the man who abducted me. But the cruelest part? It wasn't his violence that broke me. It was his honesty. Kai doesn't flinch from the truth like everyone else. He hands it to me like a loaded gun and dares me to pull the trigger. I press my forehead against the window. Outside, darkness wraps the estate like a veil. Inside, I'm caught in a maze I can't escape. The door creaks open. He stands there, all shadows and sharpness, watching me like he's memorizing every breath. "You hate me yet?" he murmurs. "No." It's the truth, and it terrifies me. He steps closer, closing the space between us. "Then why do you look like you're about to cry?" "Because I don't know who I am anymore." Kai's fingers brush my jaw, tilting my face up. His voice is low, dangerous, intimate. "You're mine. That's all you need to know." She hasn't left her room in 2 days. I know because I've watched every hour tick by on the surveillance feed. Every shift in her body beneath the sheets, every tear she thought no one saw. I should give her space, but I'm not a good man. I'm not even pretending anymore. I unlock her door. She's sitting on the edge of the bed, hair messy, eyes hollow. But even like this, especially like this, she's the most beautiful thing I've ever destroyed. Aurelia. Her name tastes like sin on my tongue. Her eyes snap to mine, glassy with fury. You said I was yours, then why do I feel like a prisoner? I walk slowly toward her, kneel in front of her trembling knees. Because you are. She tries to shove me away, but I grip her wrists hard, not enough to hurt her, just enough to remind her. No one touches you, no one looks at you, not unless I say so. That's not love, she spits. I smile, dark and cruel. I never promised love, I promised ownership. But even as I say it, something shifts. Her fire brands me, burns through the void I've lived in for years. I pull her into my chest, burying my face in her neck. For a second, I'm just a man, needing, failing. You'll hate me for this, I whisper, but you'll never leave? And I mean it. I'll break the world before I let her go. The air is thick with his scent, leather, spice, and control. I should scream, I should fight, but instead, I sit there, heart pounding as his arms stay wrapped around me like a vice. You'll never leave, he whispered. And the terrifying thing is, a part of me doesn't want to. I push against his chest, weakly. Why me, Kai? Why ruin me? He tilts my chin, gaze molten. Because you were never meant to belong to anyone else. His lips crash into mine. It's not a kiss. It's a claim. His hand fists my hair, pulling just enough to make my breath hitch. The way he touches me, it's possessive, brutal, reverent all at once. I hate him. I crave him. He tears his mouth away, eyes searching mine. Every time you run, I'll drag you back. Every time you break, I'll rebuild you in my image. Tears sting my lashes, and if I stop fighting... He presses his forehead to mine. Then I'll ruin you slower, sweeter. I feel it, that invisible thread that ties us. Red, dangerous, unbreakable. Obsession stitched between our bones. I should run, but I think I already did. And he was the one I ran toward. She sleeps in my bed like she's always belonged there. Tangled in my black sheets, pale skin glowing under the soft red light above us. So quiet, so still, but I can hear her dreams. Even in sleep, she's fighting the parts of her that want me. I sit on the edge of the mattress, watching her chest rise and fall. I've destroyed men for touching what's mine, and yet, there she is. Bruised, mocked, loved in the only way I know how, violently. My thumb brushes her lip. She doesn't stir. Do you hate me yet? I whisper into the silence. No answer. Just that little sigh she always makes when she rolls toward my side. She clutches my pillow like it's me, and maybe that's what terrifies me most. That somewhere in her broken little heart, she's starting to need me. Not because I forced her. Not because I took away every exit, but because I'm the only one who sees her clearly, and stayed anyway. I slide beneath the covers and pull her to me, chest to chest. Her lashes flutter. She mumbles my name. I kiss her temple and murmur back, mine. And for one quiet, cursed moment, I believe we could survive this madness. I should run. I should have run the moment the lock turned behind me. But now I know the truth. I was never locked in. I was locked with him. Kai. The storm, the ruin, the obsession that's rewritten every part of me. I stand barefoot in his penthouse, eyes burning as I look at the man who broke me just to stitch me back together. Behind him, flames eat through the world we built, his empire collapsing by his own hand. His enemies are dead, the secrets are buried, and now there's only us. He steps closer, blood still drying on his knuckles. "Say it," he rasps. I tremble. "Say what?" His hand finds my throat, not tight, just enough to feel his pulse against mine. "Say you're mine. That after everything I did, you still want the monster." I should lie. I should scream. I should slap him for every cruel touch, every twisted game. But I don't. Because I loved the pain. Because I loved him. I press my mouth to his, whispering against his lips. I don't want the prince. I never did. I want the villain who burned the world for me. His breath shudders. His eyes, so dark, so haunted, soften for the first time. "Then you're his," he says. "Forever." The fire roars behind us. We walk into the night, hand in hand. Two broken things that never wanted to be fixed. Not a fairy tale, not a tragedy, just us, twisted, obsessed, and finally free.
You've just witnessed His to Destroy, a story where love wasn't pure, it was possessive. Where pain didn't break her, it awakened her. Thank you for staying through every chapter of this dark, obsessive journey. If you felt something, rage, ache, desire, this story did what it was meant to. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want more twisted tales like this. Until next time, stay haunted, lovers.